First job for today is to strip this bonnet back. Probably to bare metal, I don't think there's much on it. We'll see. Got the electric red and orbit sander with some 80 grit on it. Dust extraction, which plugs into there. Air conditioning and all the gear. So throw in some earplugs and because it all starts to make a bit of noise, and get to it. Just working down through the layers of paint here. It looks like what we've got is we have the original factory etch primer and undercoat, the original factory colour there. Then we've got another layer of undercoat, another top coat, and a clear coat. Pretty sure that's a clear. And then onto the primer that's on it at the moment. So in this one I'll be taking it back to bare metal, mainly for the bond of the scoop to the bonnet itself is best straight on metal. And if you start getting too many layers on it, it starts knocking out the definition of all the corners and stuff like that. So, and you never know which of these is going to peel off. There was I think mid-late 80s, there was quite a few cars around with bad clear coat that was peeling off everywhere, so maybe that's what happened to this one initially. Anyway, keep going. So the bonnet's all stripped back now, except for under there, because there's no need. What we do have is there's a little bit of a gap on either end. It's not sitting quite flush. The bonnet's pretty good, so I don't want to just clamp it down to this. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit off the fiberglass in the middle there. Hope it'll sit down a little bit better. It'll be a case of a little bit on one side, a little bit on this side until it's sitting right without it clamping down. Because if I clamp it down, this is way stronger than that, so it'll just bend the bonnet to suit that. I'd rather it didn't. Okay, well that's sitting a lot better there now. There's still a little bit of a gap there, but that won't be a problem. Front's sitting down now. It's pretty good. Next thing that I've got to do is, probably can't quite see it there, but that's all open. So there's nothing to stop leaves and water and crap getting down in there. So what I plan to do is across here is fashion up a piece of probably a thin piece of zinc and or something like that, and then maybe fiberglass it in place and match it to that curve across there. Obviously you can't sort of break into where the vent is. I would still like to be able to get up in from under this way when the bonnet's off to sort of finish it off a bit. Otherwise the whole thing will just fill up because there's no other cutouts in the bonnet. It's not getting a cutout for an air cleaner or anything like that, so it'll just fill up with crap. So let's see what I can do there. Okay, so let's see what kind of mess we can make out of this. Just quickly fashioned a bit of a wall up out of some cardboard and tape. And it'll go across there. Got some fiberglass sheets, all the raw materials, the resin and the catalyst, the brush and stirring stick, the scales, because we measure that in at 2% of the weight of that. Okay, the weight of the plastic is 38 grams. So what do we got there? 350 minus 40, 310, and we're looking for 2% of that weight. So 1% is 3.1, so 6.2 grams of catalyst, which will take us up to about 358 or thereabouts. That'll do. 2% usually sets reasonably quick. You can go less than that, but I don't think there's any need to on this one. I scuffed up all the existing fiberglass where this is going to go to. It's not structural, it's just to provide a bit of a seal. Surprisingly, I've found that these tin snips do an excellent job of cutting through the glass. And what happens with this fiberglass mat is that it's got a glue in it that holds it all together so that it stays like that. And once you get the resin into it, it breaks that glue down. so it becomes a little bit more flexible. But sometimes if you don't think the glass is going to get around a corner, wait until it's wet, and it'll sometimes mould in fairly easily as all the fibres start to come away from each other, and you can mould them in a little bit better. What we'll do is run another strip, a couple of strips along the top there, because that's what I want to build up to be able to sand back down flat. Obviously you can't work too slow either, otherwise it goes off, especially when you put 2% of the catalyst in with it. Once all of this is hardened up and levelled off, might just need to be a bit of filler in there and a little bit of filler in there to tidy it up. The very last thing to do is to get the roller onto it, just to squeeze out any bubbles that might be trapped in there. And I dare say that that cardboard will be remaining in place. Not going to see it. The outside and up in here will probably get tidied up a bit, and a coat of black. You shouldn't be able to see it, but you might be able to see it, because this back is open and it's probably at about windscreen wiper level. Rightio, that will do. Next step is to extract the bonnet from the car, put it on a stand. Got a bit of filler to do in there. Got to still clean up these bits but I couldn't get to at the back. And then do the other side as well, just to tidy up on the other side, nothing flash. So I've just done a bit of a tidy up and reshuffle the cars outside the booth now, and I'm going to start to work on the inside of the bonnet. There's a few little rust patches on it. I think originally it had a cover over it. You can see all these holes here. At least had a cover over the centre part of it. There's a few little rust spots coming through. I just hit that with some 80 grit on the roll lock, and just tidied up as much as I can. Before I took these hinges off, I drilled some locating holes for some dowel pins later, because it was all sitting together pretty good on the car. At least I know where it needs to go back to now. That edge there needs tidying up as well. Not very exciting viewing, but a job that needs to be done nevertheless. Oh, the other thing as well is all this sealant that was between that's not rust there, that's actually just old sealant. All of that's broken away, and when I lift the bonnet up before, I can hear it rattling around inside the guts of it somewhere. So somehow I'm going to have to try and put a little bit more seam sealer or something in there just to glue it back together. I do have some panel bond stuff, but without actually taking it apart and making sure that it's clean. I don't think it'd stick very well. So that's the underside of the bonnet done, ready to get a bit of etch primer on it, and some undercoat. All of the original factory seam sealer has turned into that, and most of it's broken off inside there. I've got as much of it as I can out, and we'll see if any more comes out when I start to paint it. It's roughed up there with 240 grit softback sanding. I went over the front edge with the wire wheel, so there's a bit of rust in places. It's cleaned all that up. I don't think it's ever been touched up under here before. There's a bit of overspray down the back here from when the bonnet was painted from the other side. That's about it. As you can see from all the factory runs in here, you're not really worried about inside the bonnet to start with. So the bonnet's all ready to etch prime now. Just done that little repair there. There's a touch there, wasn't much. That was already in the bonnet when I got it, and that seems to be okay, so I'll leave it there. Time for some etch. So once again, the etch I'll be using here is the Wattle Super Etch, which is a single pack epoxy etch primer. It goes over, it's supposed to go over just bare metal, but I've been using it heaps and heaps over the past 10 years or so, and it's fine for going over bits of filler and paint like it's still left on the middle of the bonnet here, as long as it's not too loose, or it's I think it may play up if it's got an old enamel type base on it, but nothing I've painted over here recently has had any enamel in it, so I'm not too sure about that one. But yeah, it's good because it's a single pack, and just keep it in the gun sitting there for whenever I need to use it, and just stir it up and use it, so you don't have to mix it up. It's not two part. It's not dangerous like a 2-pack type thing is. So still wearing a respirator here, but just not the full face gear like I do when I'm painting the 2-pack. So anyway, that's about it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.